So, we are in-game. Would you do the honors, Wyman, and introduce these two players?
Yes, of course. We are on the bottom left. Frost. You have the blue pros from Team DK, or DK if you want to pronounce it that way. He's XeLiatH against the red Protoss. He's from Team Fnatic. He's the Dutch representative here. He's Harstem, and he just showcased us some very, very strong PvP, I have to say.
It's the harassment from Harstem, and you mentioned it in the previous map, Wyman, and I couldn't agree with you more. He just is everywhere. He's very aggressive, but never really seems to overcommit, or very rarely will. So he's just constantly pulling his opponent apart, being in multiple places at once, just being irritating, and that just wears you away. Harstem erodes his opponent as opposed to destroys them until like the final engagement.
When you're at this level of play, being the aggressor has such an advantage all the way to the late game, forcing your opponent to stay home and making him, well, just afraid to commit to any form of attack on his own, because he might, actually, make a mistake on his own and get attacked while half his army is out on the map for some harassment. Having that, instilling that kind of fear into your opponent is such a mighty weapon, more than any form of unit control can possibly inflict.
Well, we'll wait to see whether Harstem is able to do that again. For the moment, they're both opening pretty much exactly the same, and that's what you'll usually see at this stage. Until we get the Cyber Core down, until we see second gas timing, how many probes we can gas, PvP is very well worked out. There isn't many variations, specifically on 4-player maps. The only thing you could get as a mix-up is on, say, Overgrowth or a 2-player map, proxies. But aside from that, it's always going to be 2 gases with either 3 or 2 probes in each, and then some form of tech after the Cyber Core is finished.
Yeah, I completely agreed. Harstem isn't scouted at this point. This usually hints to me that he intends to go for some sort of tech play. Of course, getting early double gas usually hints at this, but the fact that you go for early double gas and then not scout seems to me that you're really set on a certain strategy that you want to execute no matter what, no matter what you scout. This could be perceived as blind or maybe a bit of dumb play, but I think it's just sheer confidence out of Harstem at this point, knowing that if he just executes his build properly, he will be in a good spot in the mid game, or just outright win maybe.
Now they're both going for Stargates. This is really interesting, because there's kind of 3 possibilities that can come out from this. 1, they both go Phoenix, and since they're at the same time, it'll be a bit of a stalemate. 2, they both go Oracle, in which case then it comes down to who defends it better, who can multitask better, that sort of thing. But the third option is probably the most interesting. 1 goes Phoenix, 1 goes Oracle. If that happens, you run into some massive problems, because whoever goes Phoenix just wins the early game, flat out. And XeLiatH is the one who's going to be able to get this scout down.
Yep. So the question is, what will both players be making first? XeLiatH starts with a Phoenix, which is a bit of a defensive play. Harstem has the money and should be making something. Alright, he's going to go for the Oracle. This is already a big leader for XeLiatH. If he picks off that Oracle before it gets any damage done, he'll be in such a good spot. Not only will he be up 2 Phoenixes, he also, Harstem will have completely wasted one of his units, and the first Phoenix is already positioning itself exactly between the bases of these 2 players within the path that, Harstem's Oracle will logically be taking.
This is a brilliant, basically build order counter right now from XeLiatH. And it is a bit of a kind of stalemate game. Because Harstem didn't scout this down, he doesn't know the Stargate's there, doesn't know the Phoenix could be coming, but he's going to lose this Oracle now.
Oh, actually, which unit is faster? I think they're pretty much equal.
The Phoenix is fractionally quicker.
Oh, there's actually Stalker in between as well. So the amount of them and the Photon overcharge. 2 kills for the Oracle, that's about it. And now Harstem is in a world of trouble, and he's going to transition straight into Blink Stalkers, I would assume, with this Twilight Council. But still, he needs to get something up to defend his probes, because we're going to have 3 Phoenixes in his mineral line doing a whole ton of damage, and not a very comfortable spot for
the sentries there as well.
Yeah.
Nice weapon overcharge. Sentries, of course, very good units to prioritize with your Phoenix lifts, if you do find them. And they're not defended by any Stalkers, just yoink them up, kill them off, and then laugh. with your evil villain laugh to yourself that you just wasted so much of your opponent's gas.
Yeah, dropping the photon overcharge here was such a huge advantage for XeLiatH. Now Harstem cannot defend his natural at all. And there's 3 gates here for XeLiatH and he's already warping in Stalkers. This is going to be a 1-base assault here with Phoenixes, with Stalkers. And I really don't know how Harstem is supposed to hold this. He's going to have to fall back to 1 base. He will lose map control completely. And XeLiatH will either be able to just outright kill him or at least follow up with, you know, a very early expansion. And if XeLiatH can pick up the Mothership Core, I don't think Harstem will be able to hold for long.
Well, the Mothership Core's still a lot of energy up, but it's the Sentry that's the important piece. Gets taken down. Now there's no force field for that ramp, and without that, the Stalkers of XeLiatH can just walk straight on up if they need to.
And there's not even gas here for Harstem to warp in another Sentry. He warped in another Stalker. Wants to bank here on the superior Stalker numbers, but however, there's a lot more Stalkers here for XeLiatH, and Harstem really cannot defend his natural here. Even if he were to photon overcharge, he would just get focused down and boom, there he goes.
I think this is a win for XeLiatH now, because he's up by a Stalker. Plus he's got 6 Phoenix. 6! He can lift up every Stalker of Harstem, taking it to 0, and still have his Stalkers to take them down. And there's not enough energy for... Oh, there is, sorry, now enough energy for a Photon Overcharge.
And
but
here we go. We have the army of XeLiatH moving in, being deterred by the Photon Overcharge for now. And it's really just a matter of waiting when he moves in, and there he goes. XeLiatH says, do you even lift? Picks up half the army of Harstem, while the Stalkers focus down all the other Stalkers one by one. They get taken out really quickly. The Photon Overcharge just do a lot of damage, but Harstem is just being completely overpowered here. His blink only just finished up, doesn't do really anything for him. The Mothership Core is falling down, and I don't see... Yeah, there we go. GG for Harstem and XeLiatH. He ties up the series.